So after the first month, and you were at this point, you were 21?
21, yeah.
21. What was it that kept you from not quitting, and what made you keep on showing up after that?
Yeah, I've gotten frustrated in the business, but I never thought of quitting. Because I talked to you and Sean referred me to you, so I'm like, if these guys can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I saw everybody else doing it, so I'm like, it's a matter of time before it clicks. And then once it clicks, I can just keep reinvesting into leads, keep doing the same thing over and over again. So that's the reality about this is when you do figure it out, you can teach other people the same thing. So my second month, I made a few grand after lead spend, and then my third month, I deposited about 40, which is super cool.
Whoa. All right, guys, welcome to another episode. Today we have special guest Weston Walker in the house. Welcome, bro. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So I think how old are you?
22.
22. All right. So I think there's a cool story for you guys. Weston is 22. He's definitely wise beyond his years. And you came into this with no sales experience or very limited, correct?
Yeah, so I did real estate for 3 years, and it was more of like the finance side. So no like direct sales experience. Like we have leads and we call leads. Nothing of that, or door knocking like a lot of people come from. But this was like brand new to me.
Got it. And so you grew up in Illinois. You were a golfer, and so you were saying you went to GCU to start, and then you went back out to Bradley to play golf.
Yes, I did. So I went to GCU for 2 years, went back to Illinois, my hometown, played golf for a semester, then came back out here.
Got it. Okay. And straight out of college, was this like your first real job, or?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
I've had a couple jobs in college, but this is my first like full time. Like as far as consistency goes, like I've been working 15 hours a day for like 9 months, and I've never done that in my life. So
love it.
It's like new to me. So I love the grind. I love taking my competitive nature from sports just to this.
Yeah, for sure. What were your jobs before this?
It was, it was like real estate. I sold shoes in high school, so I sold like, designer shoes. I sold Jordans. I sold whatever I could, Yeezys.
Okay.
So I was like a flipper and stuff for like different items. So like during COVID, stuff would like go up in price because it would sell out.
Yeah.
Like not like toilet paper, but like everything else, like pools, weights, all this stuff that people had to go out and use. I would like resell that on my Amazon account.
Okay.
So I was making like $5-10 grand a month there, and so I'm used to like the nature of spending money to make money.
Got it. Dude, I remember when weights, everything in COVID.
Yeah.
We were like cooped up in our apartment, and the gym and everything obviously was closed. And I think I went on like OfferUp or like Facebook Marketplace and probably paid like 10 times more than I should have for a pair of like adjustable freaking dumbbells.
Yeah. Maybe we didn't know each other. Maybe he was my client.
It might have been you.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So growing up, are parents entrepreneurs, parents in sales, or no?
No, Dad was a fireman. He was the main breadwinner. So
okay,
a fireman for 29 years.
Nice. And then how did you get introduced to life insurance and FFL?
So long story short, I was in real estate for 3 years. I was in brokerage and finance. So I was making like cold calls for like 3 months, and this was like when I was first like getting into sales in a sense. Didn't make one deal.
To find buyers, or was it like wholesale?
It was sales. So I was at Cushman & Wakefield, they're a commercial firm.
Okay.
So I would call owners of properties and make sure like if they wanted to sell. I didn't have any script. The average time length for the first deal in the whole entire company for a new rep was 9 months. So I'm like, where can I get paid quick, which is like 1 to 3 days here? Where can I scale a business, build up recurring revenue as a team, and also have ownership of my book of business? So all that combined, I was looking into different opportunities and came across insurance. It was insurance in general. It wasn't life insurance. So
okay,
I knew my aunt. She is with State Farm. She's been with them for like 20 years. She oversees a few offices in Chicago, Illinois, which is a couple hours north of where I'm from. So she oversees some offices, and she's making good money, right? She goes on the trips and the trophies, she gets all that.
Okay.
But I'm like, where can I scale something a little bit quicker than someone at a captive company where you're only selling their products? So looking in the brokerage side of things, and I actually had a podcast in college where I interviewed people that have exited businesses.
Okay.
And this guy in particular, I focused a lot on the real estate piece, interviewing people in the real estate space. And so this guy, he had, it's funny because not a lot of people that have, like $100 million plus of real estate have used their own money to buy that. But I'm like, this guy, he's like mid 40s. He used his own money to buy like $100 million worth of real estate, multifamily.
Wow.
So he has like all the equity in the properties minus the debt. So he owned all that himself. I'm like, dude, where'd you get your money? And he's like, the largest exit, he's sold multiple companies, but he's like, dude, the largest exit I've done is in insurance. So that kind of opened my mind up to where can I have ownership over my book of business and where can I scale it quick?
I love that. Dude, I would say kind of one of my first jobs, my first like real job, I would say, in college, I used to valet cars. So local here in like Phoenix, Scottsdale, and there was like always like the super nice restaurants. And so I was 20, and every time a Ferrari would come in, a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, like a cool exotic kind of car, I would always, try to like bro up with the guy. And then one of my first questions always is like, dude, this is a sick car. What do you do? And literally every single person, I own a company, I flip real estate, commercial real estate, sales, like something that was some sort of like entrepreneurial business thing. And I remember always hearing from people saying that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, 1 + 1 = 2. This makes sense to me. If I ever want to get an exotic car like these guys, the path of what they do is something that I should probably follow. So I love that you're asking and finding, because success leaves clues, and people that have already done it, that's the greatest shortcut to be able to find someone and just try to copycat, right?
Yeah, so you plugged in right away, and that was inspiring hearing your story. Like, I listened to your podcast before you even knew me, and you sold at, 27?
Yeah, so I got my license when I was 20. And we was at a different captive company for a little over 3 years, and then we came to FFL. So with a little over 3 years from start to exit.
That's insane. So I was interviewing people that were honestly like, not in a bad way, but like old.
Mm-hmm.
They're like old and they exited. I was seeing this, and it's like you at 27, and Ryan he's like thinking of exiting, and he's been in it for 4.5 years. It's like a much quicker time frame, and also very repeatable way to do things.
Right.
Because usually when you're a founder of a company, you have to be pretty creative in what you're doing. I'm not the most creative guy, but I'm a hard worker, and I show up and do what people say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't have to be creative. I can just do what people what the blueprint already is to people that have exited and do the same thing they did.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when you started, dude, and we were in like the old office, which it wasn't very nice. But I remember telling Nina, I'm like, dude, this Weston guy just doesn't stop. Like, seriously, you probably asked the most questions out of anyone in the last couple of years that came on brand new, which what I have always seen is the people that ask the most questions, they're the people that want to learn the most, and they're like the most invested into it. So that was like me too. I was probably annoying the shit out of the guy that hired me, asking him all these questions. But the more questions you ask, that's how you're going to learn, right? So I remember you coming in and just, you're super hard worker, and we'll get into this in a second, but asking questions. And I remember I told Nina, I'm like, this Weston guy, he's going to figure it out just because he is putting in the work and asking the questions, and at some point he's going to figure it out. So let's go to that. So talk about your first couple months, and then that breakthrough month, what you wrote, and how many months in that was for you.
Yeah, so that's a common trait I look for in new people, as well as asking questions. And some people just hide themselves in their shell and they're remote, and they don't get involved. So my first couple months, I'm like, how can I get as involved as possible? So I was remote part-time for 2 months before I went full-time in, I think it was October, when I went full-time. So I was remote, but I was logging on with my camera on. I was still unmuting on every call in Discord rooms with Ryan and all these other producers at a high level. Yeah. And I made nothing my first month. I wrote, I think, $7,000 in business, which sounds like a lot, but if you do the comp, like I had 4 deals my first 2 weeks, 2 chargeback, and I was also spending money on leads. Yeah. So my first month I wasn't profitable, but I was still working 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, same as I am now, but I wasn't making money. So I kept the schedule the same, except I made more.
I always think it's weird when people, especially like in today's world where a lot of people do work from home, I always feel like it's weird when people get on Zoom and they don't have their camera on and they don't have their microphone on. And what I used to always tell new agents that did that, especially right after we transitioned to more like virtual, is I'm like, dude, like imagine if someone showed up to the office with a paper bag on their head and never said anything. That's
Ski mask, yeah.
dude, that's the equivalent of like what's going on. And also it's always weird when it's like you feel like you have like a, have you seen that movie where it's like I think it's called like 13 cameras or something, however many cameras, and it's like there's always these cameras just like watching you. It's like you feel like you're being watched. When people don't have their camera on and they're not unmuted, I'm like, dude, it's just like it makes you feel weird, right?
Yeah. So I mean, be as involved as you can, right? So my first month didn't make much. I think my second month I wrote 12 issue paid. I was also spending money on IUL leads, so I was trying to get into the higher ticket game.
What were your first leads? Were they FEX or what?
They were aged FEX off integrity. So I was going through hundreds and hundreds of leads. I was making several hundred calls a day.
Okay.
Triple dialing, hand dialing. I was hand dialing and I was using phone burner, so I was just going through hundreds a day.
Okay.
And I was frustrated because I go like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours without like one or two pickups, even like hello, and then they'd instantly hang up. But that was like the only pickups.
Love that.
So had a pretty good start. So people think, you're just going to come in and make a bunch of money. The reality is like I said, I sold 4 deals, 2 chargeback my first couple weeks. My second month, I was spending money on leads. I sold deals. I was getting deposits, but I was reinvesting a lot in the states. I got like 10 states, which was a few $100.
Okay.
And then I bought IUL leads off GOAT.
Okay.
And so that got me used to the IUL script and product. So that's what I try to get into as quickly as possible because I saw the agency persistency was very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 87% 6 month and 83 for the 12 months. Now I know the numbers.
Yeah.
But I saw all the top people doing it, so I'm like, why don't I just get straight into that? And
did you, after your first month when you didn't really make much money, did you make any money? Like after the chargebacks and leads?
Might have lost money. I don't know.
Okay. So after the first month, and at this point, you were 21?
21, yeah.
21. What was it that kept you from not quitting, and what made you keep on showing up after that?
Yeah, I've gotten frustrated in the business, but I never thought of quitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I talked to you and Sean referred me to you, so I'm like, if these guys can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I saw everybody else doing it, so I'm like, it's a matter of time before it clicks. And then once it clicks, I can just keep reinvesting into leads, keep doing the same thing over and over again. So that's the reality about this is when you do figure it out, you can teach other people the same thing. So my second month, I made a few grand after lead spend, and then my third month, I deposited about 40, which is super cool.
Whoa. So when you deposited 40, so first 2 months don't really make money. Third month, obviously that was the most you ever made. Was that probably the most you ever made in a whole year?
Oh yeah.
In a month.
Yeah, I mean, I was waking up to like 2 to 4 grand a day.
How did that feel?
It was good, man. I had my parents that were like, "What are you doing?" First of all, they thought it was a pyramid scheme, and then
sure.
And then they see me like ripping calls, and they hear my sales calls in the bedroom.
Sure.
And I was saving up cash to go buy.
So you're still living with your parents at this point.
I was living with my parents.
And you deposited.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was when I sold 12 grand, and then I saved up some cash and moved in with my grandparents. It was my third month, and they live in Gold Canyon. So that's for perspective. That's an hour away from the office now. So I'm driving hour to the office, hour back, and that was when I was in the office.
That's legendary. So you deposited 40 living at grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then I saved up and got a place in Scottsdale. So
Fire. Okay, so your third month, and then let's keep it moving. So what happened your fourth month?
Fourth month, issue paid 66, sold 86. Deposits were really good, about the same.
Let's talk about the difference of not really your first month, but your second month to your third month, which was your big month, and then your fourth month, which is your biggest month. What was the lead flow? What did you change in that process?
No, the lead flow, it was about the same from my third month to fourth month. Same. I spent the same amount on leads, to be honest.
Okay. What about?
And my skill set changed. So I think spending more up front for me, a lot of people think, oh, lead flow is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got fresh leads, but I wasn't closing as much as someone like Ethan or Ali or Trey or someone else would as a top producer. So,
yeah.
I mean, for me, it was reinvesting as much as possible to get the most amount of reps in so that I could scale quicker.
What about from month 2 when you deposited a couple grand net to month 3 when you did 40? What was the difference in lead spend from there?
Lead spend, I was spending, I think, $1,400 a week from my second month and the third month. It was just my skill set. That's the thing, is I never came from sales. So it was, obviously I increased my spend from depositing 40 grand. I'm like, why don't I invest as much as I can to literally book up my calendar for the whole day and just take appointments. So that was the key. So like for me, it was building the skill set. For a lot of people, they have the skill set, and it's just the lead spend and getting over the fear of buying leads.
For sure. So I think 2 things there. One is you spent $1,400 a week, which most people, especially when they're new, no one does that, just so you know. Very little people. So that's one thing. But I think the second thing is you said you focus on skill set. But what I always revert back to, of course, you can get better with practicing yourself and role playing and all that. But as we know in everything in life, the best practice comes when you're actually in the arena. So I would say that you, having the courage to spend $1,400 a week gave you enough leads and enough reps to actually get good. Whereas maybe someone that their skill set doesn't develop for a long time, well, it's because they're running 5 appointments a week. Versus when you were spending $1,400, you were making your activity was so high. Mm-hmm. It's like that. It's like that quote where it says, basically, if you put in enough time and hours, it makes it unreasonable for you to fail, right? Even if you suck.
And it was 5 to 8 presentations a day. So presentations like getting to numbers.
Got it.
So that's, I was selling like 1 a day off 5 to 8 presentations. I'm like, okay, I'm getting through the intro. I'm getting through the whole presentation. Now I'm losing people on social bank. I'm not building enough value. So getting the right questions to ask. And I met with Morgan and Ryan every single night after dialing for 10, 12 hours. And I would go to them with call recordings. So they recorded my calls, and they would find the commonality in, like, what exactly do we need to fix in your pitch to make it more consistent. So you're getting on enough presentations, but you're not closing. So that 1 a day turned into 2 to 5 a day.
Got it. And were you keeping track of how many calls and presentations you were doing from your dialer app, or were you like manually writing them down, or how do you keep track of that?
It was a spreadsheet. I wasn't the best at tracking numbers, but I was just so I was dialed on the phone all day. I wasn't like talking to people around the office. I was literally just sitting and dialing the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how many dials I was making, but on Age I was obviously making more. But Fresh I was making less dials, but I was getting more presentations out of it.
Got it. So I think that's something important to do, where it's like in sports, it's really anything, but let's just say sports, for example. The way people track sports players is they track their stats, right? So let's say like a baseball player, they track how many at-bats they have, how many hits they have, how many strikeouts they have, how many doubles, triples, home runs. They track everything. So then like you go look at it, and maybe the guy that hits a ton of home runs, his batting average isn't very good, right? That's usually how it is.
Yeah.
But maybe the guy with the higher batting average doesn't have that many home runs. Well, it's because the guy that hits the home runs, he swings for the fences, versus the guy that's the leadoff hitter that bats 350 and only has, let's say, 10 home runs for the year. He's trying to hit singles and doubles. I think it's super important, and then you can look at any sports. I think it's super important to know your numbers, especially as a new agent. Because when you're able to bring your stats, per se, to your managers and be like, hey guys, this is my activity, this is how many calls I'm doing per day, this is how many answers I'm getting, this is how many appointments I'm doing, this is how many closes, this is how many people tell me, hang up or tell me no at the social or banking or the close. You're able to give that to them, and then they can use their experience to be like, hey Weston, it looks like your activity is not very good, or hey, your activity is really good but your closing sucks, or hey, your closing is good but your AP per sale isn't very good, we got to increase it. So I think to any new agent out there that's listening, or if you're a manager and maybe you're newer, keeping track of your agent's stats is so important, because without the stats, you can't inspect and correct it. You're just kind of guessing at that point.
Yeah, so where it really switched for me was the call recordings as well. And then I would track all my presentations, and I would say exactly, I had like a list of objections that I would get.
Okay.
And some people even think like this is too granular, but like for me, I would like check mark, where I would get the objections. So like either it's the intro, I got through the intro, But when I got to the end, I would put a check mark on like bank objection. I would get so many bank objections. It was so frustrating because I pitched them for 40 minutes and then I lose them at the very end. They're like, I got to talk to my wife. I don't want to start now, whatever it is. So that was the most frustrating part for me. And then I saw my guy Abdullah go through the same thing. And for me, I'm like, okay, are you tracking your stats? And then let's pull the call recordings. I know exactly what to do to fix it. So it's good as an upline to have your agent's stats in order to fix, like, pinpoint exactly what they need to work on.
Love it. When you were getting the banking objections, what was the main thing that you had to correct?
Building value in the script.
Got it.
So like digging deep into the client's situation and finding out what exactly they have, who it's going to be for. Is it going to be for income replacement? Is it going to be for the mortgage? Is it going to be to leave a legacy behind? Like, who's that money going to? Just asking a lot of questions, and then also like talking value in the script. For the IUL, it's the 3 main buckets. So we got the death benefit, the living benefit, and the cash value. Like for me, I sell to a lot of blue collar people.
Okay.
You know, truckers. We got like some healthcare workers. Honestly, there's some like first responders as well. Some people from different industries.
Okay.
And people that are in those jobs need the living benefits. So I pitch a lot of the living benefits. And I used to do a lot of the cash value stuff, but I got to the point now where, you know, I get paid more for selling life insurance, and so I sell more life insurance now. So my average deal size is about $2,400.
Nice.
So that's mostly focused on life insurance. If they want to do the cash value, I can do a little bit more.
Yep.
But I just focus on that and building value in the main 2 things for life insurance: the death benefit and the living benefit.
For sure. I think a lot of people think, dude, that the life insurance aspect is the most important thing. And I think if you're older, obviously, that would be true. The life insurance is the most important thing. But for younger people, you're more likely to get sick and have to use some sort of, whatever the living benefit you have to use, whether it's terminal, critical, chronic, whatever, you're going to use that in most cases before you actually die, right? And so I think that's super smart. Any product, you got to find people's why, and then you got to show the value to them. And if you can do that, then it makes sense to them and makes them want to give you the yes and not say, hey, Weston, I got to talk to my wife about making a decision. I'm not going to give you the bank account.
Yeah. So, for me, I tried to make it as repeatable as possible. So I took pieces from Trey. I took pieces from Morgan and Ryan. I took pieces from everyone's different scripts, and I made it my own so I understood it. And then I passed that along to my team members. So like for me, it took a couple months to get used to the IULs. Mm-hmm. But my new guy, Ryan Cleary from Florida, he just moved here a couple months ago, and he didn't sell much his first week, but his second week he sold 19 grand. Next week 21 grand. Abdullah sold like 37 his second month.
Let's
off
go.
The same like word for word script that I made. Not like to my credit, but I pieced it together from all these successful people and made it word for word so people couldn't mess it up. It was impossible. Unless they sound like they were reading a textbook in like middle school. You want to sound natural while you're reading it.
Sure.
But just making it so everybody can do it.
Sure.
So now it's like repeatable across. I got, about, I'd say 22 active agents, like active agents, and then probably 12 or 15 onboarding in contracting, and then 40 some getting licensed.
Love that. When I first started selling life insurance, it was really not people requesting life insurance. It was almost more of a bait and switch. So what I found is that my sales process was truly very focused on sales and being very salesy, meaning like you really had to do the hardcore closing, and you really had to build value and everything. Where what I tell people about our system, where we buy leads from people that are interested, is it almost flip-flops that. And yes, obviously it's still sales, but I almost feel like it's more on the side of the customer service aspect almost, because it's almost more like order taking. And so I love that because, when you come into the industry, especially if you're new, you got to learn everything about the carriers, the products, the e-apps. Like there's a lot of new stuff to learn. And dude, it would be the same thing if I went to go sell commercial real estate. I've never done that before. Even though I've been in sales and business building and all that for years, I would have to learn all their lingo and their terms before I even knew what the heck I was doing. So I think it's the same thing here, but once you master that knowledge base, then it's really as simple as reading the dang script and just making little tweaks and just perfecting it to your style, because not everyone's the same, right? Some people might be, like I was telling Nina, I'm like, you should have heard Pedro yesterday. He's like just super conversational and he talks super low and slow. versus like when you make calls, you're probably the opposite of that, right? You're a little
Super
bit louder,
direct, yeah.
super direct. So you got to kind of find your style, but the premise of following the script, it's the same, you know, for every single person.
And that's the beauty about our industry is like what I was in before, you know, for like 3 years is there was no process to being successful. I mean, it was kind of like figured out on your own, even though you're inside of a company. You know, here it's like you read a script and just get good at one thing in particular instead of like all these different things. It's pretty repeatable for new agents.
For sure. So this month coming up in August, is this 9 months, 8 months?
This is going to be 10 months in August.
10 months. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we're coming around the horn for our first year. So for you, your first year was really spent, I would say, learning how to produce. You started building the last couple months. Mm-hmm. What are your goals for your second full year?
Second full year in terms of what?
You know, team production, selling. What is that going to look like for you?
Second full year. I mean, this month we'll hit 290 and submit. We'll see what the IP numbers come out to be. Next month I want to do 400 because I got a lot of good people coming on.
Okay.
End of the year I want to hit 800K at least for my team.
We gotta push for a mill, bro. For that close.
For a mill. I gotta say a mill on the podcast so we hit it.
We gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean next year. I mean in terms of deposits, we'll see what it is. But I'm reinvesting a lot into recruiting, admin, just saving a lot of time on my plate because you told me to hire an admin and that just saves me a ton of time on personal production. Now it's like outsourcing some of the recruiting DMs, outsourcing some of the ad campaign stuff that I deal with. And there's a lot of things that I can put money into to scale.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of focused on that right now. I'm currently depositing between 30 and 40 a month.
Nice.
So I'm reinvesting, and hopefully by the end of the year I want to reach 100K a month in personal deposits.
Let's go. And which is insane. Like a little over a year in the business. You're 22. Will you be 23 at that point or still 22?
23 in May of next year.
20. Okay, so it'd be like 22 and a half.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude. I think that's something that's really cool about our business is a lot of businesses, you have to take out loans to get them started. But even if you don't have to, it takes a long time to become profitable, mm-hmm. right? Like a lot, especially if you have to take out loans, it may take you 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if ever, to become profitable, where your second month, you weren't that profitable, but you were still profitable. But then month 3, 90 days in, you pop 40 G's. And then from there, you keep increasing it.
Yeah, and what's crazy is I deposit the same amount I do now as I did in my third month. But it's coming from different sources. So now I have front-end commissions, back-end commissions. I got the team overrides. I got bonuses. Yeah. So it's coming from all these different sources as opposed to me just relying upon my personal production. So now it's to the point where how can we scale this? So instead of making, 50 grand a month max on personal production, I can hit 100K months plus. Like my mentor Ryan is making close to 400 grand a month. So I'm like, you got to get to that point. And I see someone like Stan making $1 million at 23. Yeah. I mean, I'll be 23. He started when he was 20. So I see people like that, and I'm like, how can I get to their level? So there's always different levels to it and different people that you can go to for advice. For sure. And I think that's something that's really cool about our company is a lot of companies don't have that, just so you know. Meaning, I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, the biggest guy in the biggest hierarchy in our whole company is $2 million a month. And he's like, I need more inspiration to be able to dream and push the ceiling. And the way I always think about that is when you're the biggest fish in the pond and it's a small pond, it's like the meme of the shark in the fish tank, where the shark's gonna only grow as big as the fish tank, lets it basically grow. Versus if you're in the freaking ocean, you can grow to be a full-size shark because you're in that environment. And I think in business, and especially our industry, it's very important to have people both on the sales side and the business building side, where you're like for example, when we started, I think the top person in the company issue paid high 400s, not even 500 grand. This was 7 years ago. And then you look at this year, for example, dude, there's going to be guys that get dang near close to 2 million if they don't hit it. Right? I think the top guy last year was 1.6 or 1.55 or something. So it's the bar's continually being raised. And then on the flip side, on the business building, it's I don't know if were you on the manager call the other day with Andrew? I wasn't, no.
Okay, so he had like a chart of basically what the agency's done throughout the years. And for him, it's like, dude, when we started, I think that he was doing 500 grand a month, 400 grand a month. And it's like, to look back
When you started,
when I started,
when did you start?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
And now fast forward to 7 years, they enlisted $60 million last month.
In a month.
In a month as
as
an agency. So I think having that bar continually being raised and having that to look up to, it's like even like with like the leaderboards. People are like, dude, I wrote 80 grand and I'm in the top 30 in the whole company, or the top 50. That's something you want to be a part of versus I'm the only guy doing that. I'm celebrated. I have all the recognition, but it's like, where do you have to look to elevate? You know?
Yeah, and it's an ego check too. Like if you're, and that's why it's important to be in an agency with everybody doing it. So it's like the 4-minute mile. Someone hits the 4-minute mile, and then 50 other people do it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. It's pretty normal to be writing 50 to 100 grand a month.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're anything special, which is a good thing.
For sure. So I want to talk about this because I think this is super cool. And when I started out, I did something similar to what you do, where I feel like in the office, if you're not on a sales call or training your guys, you're on some type of recruiting call, right? And or you're doing like a meeting with new people in the room or something, meaning you're getting a lot of activity in your recruiting. And the cool thing about recruiting in this business is, one, obviously you can help people, change their life. You can teach them how to make money, all that type of stuff. But when you're able to recruit someone and teach them and then they change their life, that's going to also help you and change your family's life. And so can you talk about, your recruiting setup and kind of where did you learn that, I guess, to get so much recruiting activity?
Yeah, so I was in my first couple months really good at recruiting, but I was not good at selling at all. So I would recruit a bunch of people in my first couple months. And I sat next to Ernie. If anybody knows Ernie, he sells a lot of insurance. So
Yeah.
We used to joke and we'd be like, hey, we should be partners. I'll do the recruiting, you do the selling, right? So in terms of like how you learn to recruit, so my first rule was production. So if I can put up big numbers and kind of make sure my income is there, because no one wants to leave their broke situation for your broke situation. So I made sure to deposit a lot of money, and then it really kicked in the recruiting. So it became a lot easier once I started personally producing a lot, especially from recruiting people that are my age. People looking to make $8 grand a month or $6 grand a month. That's just normal jobs. You deposit 40 grand, it becomes pretty easy to recruit.
Yeah.
So that where it really became successful for me was using social media and finding the cold recruits. So like for me, I'm 9 months in or coming up to 10 months in, and I have one friend on my team. It's like everyone else has come from social media, cold market.
Love it.
It's a combination of LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I've had people move here from different states just from social media, like sending like a DM.
Love it.
Multiple people actually. So it's pretty cool to see, people get to know you if you have a profile. If you run ads as well for recruiting, I think it helps to have, or send DMs. You have to have a profile that looks like something that people want to work for or work with. So if you don't have that dialed in, you don't look like a professional that's been doing this, then you're not going to stand a chance with the game of like paid ads for recruiting or DMing people for recruits. So you got to make sure people can like quote unquote like doom scroll your page to see content from successful, like you being successful, your agents being successful, other people in the company winning at a high level. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
For sure. And they say that your social media is the modern day resume. And so it's like, whether you like it or not, when they see your stuff within about 5 seconds or so of looking at your page, they're going to judge you and they're going to think either A, this person isn't someone I want to work with, and maybe they're not at the same level as me, or they're going to think to themselves, oh, this person is doing really well. There's someone I want to work with. They're a level ahead of me that I could see myself becoming. And so you're right on the money with that. And the cool thing is social media is either free, or if you're running ads, very low cost.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people now are looking into, our industry is important to be in right now. It's like urgency, right? And it's like a time frame that we have. So For now, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and everyone wants to make a lot of money, and everyone wants to be in social media. So like that all combined in one industry, in one long-term game. Like we're in one of the oldest industries, but it's undergoing a change into virtual sales. You don't have to go knock doors or go to people's houses like you used to. You get paid quick as well. So there's a lot of things that have changed in our industry that makes it an important time to be in now, and make sure you're in a better position now than you would be in. Like, say you want to make a name for yourself in the industry, so you're a magnet in the future. Instead of chasing people down to recruit them, you become the person that people want to work with.
Amen. You go from being all outbound to slowly switching that, so everything then becomes inbound.
Yeah, I only do inbound right
Love
now.
it. That's the way.
But it wasn't like that when I started.
Of course not. Of course not.
So LinkedIn DMs, like you reached VP with LinkedIn DMs, and that was it.
Hell yeah, we did. We had a bunch of unlicensed people from every different background, and somehow we put it together with duct tape, and we figured it out, and then that kind of like launched us. But without that, that was the way we really got traction. And then we from there started having the inbounds, and people see us and recognize and message us. Let's go back to what you said about people being able to make, let's say, $8,000 a month, a 6-figure income. I think our industry, especially now, regardless of your age, your experience, if you have kids, whatever it is, I think at this time right now, this is the easiest I've ever seen where someone can come in and they can make a 6-figure income, right? And so we talk about all these crazy numbers of this guy's making $30,000 a month, or $50,000 a month, or $100,000 a month, or $500,000 a month, or whatever it is. And that's amazing, and that's awesome, and it shows what's possible. But the foundation of our business is showing people how to go from making, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 at their job, at a restaurant, valeting, working at a golf course, like whatever the heck it is, and being like, hey, you follow the blueprint and you work, and you can make $10,000 a month. You can make a 6-figure income. And so I think that's spot on. And it's like, there's a lot more people that aren't making a 6-figure income than there are people that are making a 6-figure income. And so if you can find those people that are hungry and want to work, and you show them this opportunity to change their lives.
Of course. I mean, the people that I'm recruiting now, so like I'm building my base shop, as people call it. The people that I want to attract right now are builders and people that are like big thinkers. So that kind of sets the tone for the new people, and kind of, if they're joining an agency with everyone's like, 6-7 hours a day and they're not working very hard, I want to build that culture where people, want to, like, are dreaming big, young people that want to build a massive business, so that it's normal for new people want to build a massive business. It's like, when you join an environment where everyone's like a dance floor, like Ryan calls it. If everyone's dancing and you're not dancing, then it's weird. If no one else is dancing and you're dancing, then it's weird that you're dancing. So I feel like if you're in an environment where everyone wants to build a massive business, then you can build something, huge.
For sure. Dude, do you realize at 22, if you just keep on going and just progressing, how good it's going to be when you're 26, 28, 30 and more?
It's crazy, man. I've seen what Ryan's done, and I feel like it's getting better with AI, with leads, with everything.
Dude, it's like, I was just thinking back when you were talking, I'm like, dude, I don't think that I had a month over 30K till I was probably 5 years in the business, till I was already almost 26. And you're here at 22, like, let's go.
It's crazy. I mean, everything's changed. I mean, like you said, before COVID, you had to go to people's houses.
Yeah.
And now it's like and it was paper apps too, so you'd get paid, 30 days later?
Yeah. If you got paid.
Yeah, if you got paid. So, and then you had chargebacks. So like now it's you submit a deal, and like I submitted a deal yesterday, get paid today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. So for you right now, are you mainly focused on people either moving into the office or being local and working out of the office full time, or what's kind of your focus for new agents?
I don't decline people from different states, but I think it's good that, like, we have a Discord room where people can share their screen, they can be on video, and unmute on call, so I can listen to them. But if people are local, like, we have a sick office in Scottsdale, so why not be in the environment where you're doing 27 million in a month, and Ryan's, people in the office are crushing it. Builders, top producers, everyone here is on a high level for the most part, and just being in that environment in a good place like Scottsdale, like, dude, I want to move here anyways. Yeah. Like, why not move here and have access to the people?
For sure. So you like Scottsdale better than Illinois?
Oh, 100%.
A little bit better
than
weather.
The cornfields, man.
Let's go. So you played D1 golf?
I did, yeah.
So you played D1 golf. I always think that athletes are really good fits in sales, regardless of what sales industry it is, just sales in general. Can you talk about, one, if you agree with that, and then two, what were some things that you learned from growing up? And, you know, obviously to be a D1 golfer, you're pretty damn good at golf. What were some things that you learned coming up with golf that helped you become successful in life insurance?
Yeah, I mean, any sport, right? I played basketball, you know, some baseball when I was super young, and obviously, like, we're a basketball family, so everyone in my family was competitive. Like, my grandparents, like, they were coaches. Like, everyone in my family played some type of sport, bodybuilding, whatever it was. So in terms of, like, that translating to sales, you know, you're getting punched in the face every single day. Like, I still now even get, like, yesterday I was into 5 applications and got no sales yesterday on 5, but then I made, you know, 8 presentations, but I got 3 sales. So it's like a numbers game. When you get punched in the face, you got to get back up, and that ability and that mindset just easily translates to this. And it's not even like, for some athletes, it might be like physical and you break your leg or something. You know, here it's just mental.
Yeah, for sure. What's been your biggest day so far as a producer?
My biggest day is 27K. It's stupid.
How many policies was that?
That was like 7.
Dang. And how many? You probably ran what, 10, 11, 12 appointments that day?
Yeah, something like that.
Nice.
Actually, one of them was like 4 policies. It was for a family.
Okay, with like referrals?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So let's segue into that. So our model is we buy leads, right? Most successful people that write, you know, I would say 40 plus grand a month, they're probably spending 1,500, 2,000, maybe 2,500 bucks a week, right? Of course, the ones that, you know, maybe have a lucky week or whatever, maybe they can get by with spending 1,000, but 1,500, 2,000 is probably the bread and butter for like 40, 50K months. So that's our main lead source. I don't think we do enough of gathering referrals and taking advantage of that. So let's talk about that deal, and then also how do you gather those referrals?
Yeah, I think I could do a better job at referrals. So picking out the client's beneficiary, you know, usually I sell to like guys, and, you know, seeing if their wife needs coverage or their children need IULs, because we have juvenile IUL products. So selling the whole family, like this one guy, I sold 7 policies to, his wife and 5 kids. Him, his wife, and it was like, and it ended up being like 10 grand in annual premium. So I got paid off that like 7 grand.
Whoa.
Off one dude. So just asking the question of do you know anyone else that might need something like this? Or we can do a free policy review with your wife or with someone else that you know. And then it give you a bonus. So give you $150 Zelle just for the referral. Obviously, you don't want to rebate someone for like buying a policy, but if they can refer you people, then you can give them a bonus.
Gift card or something.
Yeah, I had a guy in his department at work, you know, go into all his coworkers and say, hey, I just got this policy. He does free policy reviews, and I got a bunch of referrals from him still scheduled out the rest of the week. So, you know, you can have one person get you 10, 20 referrals sometimes.
Right.
But usually it's like you want to cross-sell the wife, or you want to try and at least cross-sell the kids, whatever it is, because it's always cheap when they're kids, right? So at least trying that, and then trying for, you know, the beneficiary, and then also the referrals that they might know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that juvenile IUL policy we need to do more of, because it's an amazing thing. Meaning a lot of people, I think, just maybe because of lack of education, they don't know. When they have kids, they start a 529 plan, and they're saving for college and all that kind of stuff, right? But there's only so much that it can do, and there's contribution limits of how much you can pay into it. So when people set up an IUL, they're able to contribute typically more, and then have the life insurance, the living benefits, but then the tax-free cash value. Where I've looked at, you know, NLGs and F&Gs and some of our carriers, and I'm like, dude, this is insane. If you put a couple $100 a month into it, or maybe $1,000 a month into it, by the time the kid's 18, the policy's insane. Meaning, like, you have money for college, you have money for their car, you might have money for, you know, their first condo or their first house or something like that. And so I personally believe that everyone should have that policy, just because of, one, how cheap it is for the parent to just contribute, but two, how much it can grow with 18, 20 years of runway.
Yeah, and they're probably saving money for the kid anyways.
Right.
So why not contribute to something that grows at a higher value? And for the life insurance piece, they don't have as many bills later on.
Right, right. And then the cost of insurance, of getting insurance when you're super young, of course, instead of waiting until you're 40, 50, 60, like when someone gets to be, 60, 70, it's like there's some amounts of coverage that just, one, they can't qualify for, or two, it's like ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, if they're 60 years old, they want $500,000. I'm like, dude, you're not going to get this.
It's going to be more than their freaking mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So it's like, take care of it now when you can and you can still qualify, versus having to deal with that later and maybe you can't even qualify.
100%. So, I mean, I feel like, I talk to people in all different age ranges, and seeing that like variety when I first started, it was like surprising that it was so cheap when you're younger and then it's so expensive later on. I mean, it makes sense, right? The average age for a male, I think, is 74. And later on they can only qualify for like whole life insurance, which would be something to cover like a burial cremation.
Right.
When you're younger, you can get something where it leaves a legacy behind and also like replaces your income. Like say you make $100,000 a year, get a $500,000 policy that can cover your income for 5 years, so your wife doesn't have to go get 17 different jobs for the kids.
Yeah, for sure. In your first couple of months, did you deal with chargebacks?
Oh yeah, I dealt with chargebacks. I dealt with a lot of, obviously bank objections, but people didn't really feel the need for the life insurance. So digging deep into the client's need really kept them on the books long term. So I struggle with more chargebacks back then than I do now.
Sure.
And obviously, like, I was spending money at the lowest comp. I was at a lower, like 80%, which is comparable to like 30-40% of some other people I've recruited from other companies.
Sure.
We're still at a high comp, but it's like, yeah, you're starting, you get high chargebacks, you get you have your lead spend, and then some deals don't even go through in the first place. So
yeah,
getting that ratio up, premium applied ratio, make sure 90% plus go through there, and then your 6-month persistency is 90% roughly.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be.
For sure. Dude, the reason why we didn't join FFL right away and we waited for probably 6 months to really pull the trigger was because we thought the commission stuff, we thought people were lying. And the reason why is because at our captive company, we're basically getting paid like 42.5 to 50% commission on 6.5 month advances. So when we heard of FFL, which back in the day only went up to 140, but I'm like, dude, we're at like 40 something. How the heck can they pay over 100, let alone pay 140%?
Yeah,
and
I've had some people ask, like, how can you sell a product and get paid over 100%?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
The reason why is because the insurance companies, once they pay out the commission, usually after 2 years, maybe 3 years after they pay out the commission, then they're making profit, right? So it's no secret that a lot of insurance policies, people either cancel them early. When the person dies, their family doesn't know that they had it, so they never cash in the death benefit. So think of it as basically like an interest-free loan in terms of like monthly premiums that the insurance companies get. The insurance companies are way smarter than all of us, and so they're investing the money and they're investing it into big stuff that they get really good returns. So that's the reason why they can pay those. What I didn't realize my first couple years in the business is I just thought 100% because it made sense to me. Like that, I knew that obviously I had managers and the owner. I knew that everyone was getting paid, obviously, but for whatever reason, I just thought 100%, whatever. Well, it turns out to be, even in a lot of these captive companies, they go way over that, right? It's still paying the same, but you maybe just don't know it. Versus like the brokerage world where you see the higher commission levels and you know about them. They're just right there in plain sight.
Oh, for sure. It's an exciting, like, the thing that made me the most excited was seeing the comp chart. And I was like geeking out about this stuff. I'm like, if I can get to a 145, someone starts at an 80, that's like 65% of their sales.
Yeah.
And I can have managers at 100, 110, 120 and still make a spread on the team.
Yeah.
So it's like also building leaders inside the organization.
Yep.
So I'm like right in the middle right now, and I'm really excited for the next year for what the comp has to offer.
Dude, as you continue to climb the ranks and then you write personal business, I remember when I started writing like 40, 50 and I got up to like 110%, 115, started writing more, was going up. And it's like, even with the 9-month advance, you start getting to those higher level rankings and you're like, dude, the yearly premium that's literally what I'm making in my bank account.
It's a commission, and you get back in commissions and renewals
and bonuses and all that. So it's insane. I always tell people, especially people that come from maybe they're making multiple six figures a year, and they're like, hey, I got to replace my income like ASAP as soon as possible. I'm like, dude, the most simple, easy way to go do that is, one, you go sell a bunch of insurance on your own pen, because that's where you're going to make the most money. Your biggest override's always on yourself, right? But then two, if you can find a few people to teach how to sell at a high level, like, that's a lot of money, right? It's like, if you want to make $1 million a year, let's say, you go sell 40, 50 a month, and you recruit 5 to 15 people, and you teach them how to sell a minimum 15, 20 a month, and you're going to be at that $1 million. It doesn't take thousands of people.
The way that I thought about it was, I was in real estate before, and I had some people that were like investors that I knew that were like buying all these rental properties, and they're like, yeah, I cash flow $2,000 a month off this property. I'm like, what if I can recruit one guy and teach him how to sell for a month, and then just make cash flow? Like, I view, it's bad to say, but I view every person as like a rental property in a portfolio. So like, if you have a couple hundred rental properties, you're making hundreds of thousands a month, like some of these people are at the company.
Yeah, and the best part is with getting into rental properties and everything, what I've realized over the years is they're not as glamorous and awesome as everyone makes them to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have the broken toilets and mold in the ceiling, and they mess up your house, they don't pay a month, like and the insurance, the property tax, all this stuff. And so I remember when Andrew started talking about that too, and I'm like, shoot, if I can teach someone how to make $10,000 a month, I'm actually going to be able to profit more than my rental properties that, by the way, I had to put down $100,000, let's say, or $80,000 as a down payment. But I'm not going to say you have no headaches, but you have way less headaches than some of the things that can happen with rentals.
For sure. It's just getting people to show up, and, obviously that you're dialing next to them all day, sometimes helping with applications, but getting them to be a producer first, like high level, and then getting them to share the opportunity with other people. Then you get a team underneath you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one tip you could give to someone that's a new agent out there, that if they wanted to follow your path of third month, 40K, fourth month, I think you said like 60K or so.
66. Yeah.
66. What can they do?
Yeah, so it clicked at one time for a reason, and that was consistency. So for me, I was consistent in two areas. It was dialing, and then it was training. So just those two pieces, making sure I got the activity in and making sure I got better was key. It's like Steph Curry. If he just went out to go play a game and didn't practice or train or anything ever, then he wouldn't get better. So you want to be like a Steph Curry. To get to his level, you need to go play games, but you also need to practice and do the script over and over and over again.
Yep.
So that way you can go, like when you get to the game, the office, then you're ready to go.
Yeah. Amen. Well, dude, really enjoyed having you on. I think you gave everyone a lot of value, so thanks for coming in. We're excited to see the team grow to $1 million a month and beyond by the end of the year. And then from there, there's no telling, bro. The sky's the limit.
We'll see, man. I appreciate it.
So, Weston, if someone wants to get a hold of you and work with you, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, Instagram. So Westy Walker, Westy Walker is my Instagram. You can message me there. I reply pretty quick.
Okay, awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming in, guys. If you took a lot of value from this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cool. See you guys.